If you have never learned a second language, now might be the time. And I'm going to tell you why. So let's go on an adventure. Hello and welcome to Capricious Conversations. As you see, it's just me today, which is kind of nice. We haven't had time to just spend time, you and I, for a little while. So today, it's just going to be you and me. And I'm going to tell you about learning a second language. I know probably a lot of you have either learned one or have thought about learning one. And if you haven't, you might want to start right now. And I'm going to tell you some reasons why. Number one, it's going to make your adventures so much more fun. And you're going to have a lot more opportunity for adventure in a lot more places if you know how to speak a second language. If you know how to speak any Romance language, let's take French for instance. You can travel around France for one, but there's other places like Monaco and tons of places in Western Africa that speak French that you would be able to go to and interact with people in a whole different way than you would if you only went being able to speak one language, especially if that language is English. Also, learning a second language might actually make you smarter, and here's why. You will actually train your brain to be more flexible at negotiating problems and recognizing patterns if you learn a second language. Right now, your brain is super good at recognizing patterns in English and patterns that it's familiar with. Once you learn a second language, it totally branches out and it starts looking for patterns in a lot more new places. This can also help you be a lot more perceptive. So if you've ever thought about being Sherlock Holmes, you're gonna need to learn a second language. He spoke a second language, he spoke French. And also German. So you know what? You need to learn a second language because it'll actually help your brain. It'll improve cognitive function. In that same vein, the number 3 reason is it actually might stave off dementia and Alzheimer's. Once you put your brain to use, it's kind of like a muscle. The more you use it, the more active and stronger it becomes. And it's not going to be as susceptible to infections or diseases like Alzheimer's and dementia. So you need to learn a second language. It'll also improve your English skills. Go figure, I know. But the more you learn about mechanics in other languages and how they relate to your language, you will actually help build your strength in your mother tongue. So if you want to speak better English, you need to learn a second language. It's kind of counterintuitive, but it's true, so there you go. Also, it will improve your career opportunities. Employers love versatility, and they love when they have an option to have someone like you be an interpreter or possibly take a job overseas. How big of an adventure would that be? It would be amazing. So it'll open up your career opportunities, which will in turn open the door for you to make more money. And after learning one foreign language, it becomes exponentially easier to learn a second foreign language because like we've talked about already with your improved cognitive function, your brain is already beginning to look for patterns in new areas. So once you learn one language and you've started to pick up a third language, it's going to be so much easier for you. So I hear you saying, okay, amazing Chris, all this information is fantastic, but how do I get started? Well, I got your back, home slice, because I am not going to leave you out in the cold. No, I have the top 5 language learning apps and websites that you can use to help further your language learning pursuits. Number 1, which I'm sure you've probably heard of, is Duolingo. And here's why this is awesome. Duolingo is completely free. They have a bunch of different languages. You can learn English from a lot of different languages, but going from English to other languages is a little bit trickier. They have a slightly limited selection as far as that goes. However, all of your Romance languages, a lot of the Germanic languages, you can learn English, you can learn German, you can learn Polish, Spanish, French, Portuguese. They have tons and tons of options. At this moment, as far as I know, you cannot learn Hindi from English, but you can learn English from Hindi. So if you want to kind of go about it backwards, you can try that. It would be weird, but you can do it. So you should check out Duolingo. It's totally free and it's super easy. They use a combination of picture learning, which is super helpful for foreign language learning, and also just general grammatic sentences and repetition to help really enforce the language learning in your own mind. This is going to be stupendously helpful to you. So check out Duolingo. Number 2, innovativelanguage.com. Once you get on there, they have over 30 languages that you can learn. Almost anything you can imagine, they have it. And so if you want to learn Hindi, if you want to learn Danish, if you want to learn Finnish, if you want to learn Chinese, if almost anything that you can think of, they have it on there. Now, Innovative Language does have some free content. So if you get their apps, which is like, you can get Hindi Pod, you can get Polish Pod, all of those apps in the App Store. They also have iBooks with pictures to, again, help reinforce that picture learning. But the iBooks and a lot of the content in the apps, and if you want actual lessons on innovative language or whichever language pod you pick, there is a small fee. Of course, the more months you buy at a time, the cheaper it is, and their cheapest rate is about $4 per month if you buy like 2 years at a time. I think it's 2 years. It might be 1 year. But again, for what you get, when I actually started learning Hindi, I actually started with HindiPod101.com. And I think I was paying like $8 a month or something like that. But for what you get, because you get access to native speakers and instructors that you can then ask questions of. You get lessons, you get vocab cards, you get all sorts of stuff, and it's really, really beneficial. So for the money that you're paying, it's actually really good return on investment. Number 3 is Babbel.com. It is Babbel, not Babel, so if you want to look it up, links are all in the description for any of these sites, so check it out there. Babbel is kind of along the lines of Duolingo, but stepped up a notch for your language learning needs. Babbel.com, again, there is a small fee, but again, the more you buy at one time, the cheaper it is. And it's really super duper helpful. For my Polish learning, it's been the best website that I've found. And they have a ton of languages available as well, so you're not limited as far as that goes. Number 4 is Livemocha, which is a website that is super cool if you've already got a little bit of learning under your belt. Livemocha pairs you with native speakers of the language that you're trying to learn. And so you get on and you say, I can help people with English, and I'm looking for help in whatever language you're looking for. And it'll kind of pair you with people that then you can chat with and get help with your language learning needs. You can ask specific questions, and they have lessons that you can look at, so you can do the lesson and then ask the native speaker your questions, and you can kind of help tutor each other in your language learning endeavors. Livemocha is totally free, but you're kind of at the mercy of time zones, which when learning language can be kind of difficult. And number 5 is kind of along those same lines. It's called Tandem. It is only available in the App Store, but Tandem does exactly the same thing. It pairs you with native speakers. You can do phone calls, chats, or you can do FaceTime. So all of those options are available to you, and that really helps with the speaking and listening portion of language learning, which is super huge. If you just learn out of a book, at some point you're going to have to speak to actual people who speak this language, and it might be different coming out of their mouths than it has been in your head. Getting to the point where you can talk to people is super duper important, and it's actually going to help you learn quicker. Immersion is the quickest way to learn a language. So find people that speak your language and start talking with them. Even if you're really rough at first, it doesn't matter. Just get talking, and it will help your language learning so much. And number 6 is called Fluentu.com. You can get an app on your iPad or iPhone, or you can just learn it from the website. Fluentu is really cool because it teaches you using social media and like commercials and music videos and things like that from the language that you're trying to learn. Here's the thing with Fluentu, it's free, but they're very limited as far as their languages. So you can learn Portuguese, Spanish, English, German, French, and I think Chinese. But it's fairly limited as far as the languages that you can get on there. But if one of those is the language that you're targeting, it can be super helpful. Again, it'll really help with that listening piece. And training your ears to hear a new language, it's sometimes just as hard as training your eyes. So Fluentu can be a great option. So there are all of the websites that can help you in your endeavors. If you know of any that I might have left out, or if you know of any resources that have been super helpful to you in your language learning endeavors, or you have any questions, leave us a comment below and let us know, and I would love to have a chat with you about it. Thank you for liking, commenting, and subscribing. Thank you for sharing this video with all your friends. Let's go on an adventure.